The bell above the spa entrance jingled. I stepped inside, my shoulders tense from a week of deadline Sarah for the 3-star. I told the receptionist, who smiled knowingly, "You're with Jake. Today, he's exceptional." With tense clients, the treatment room smelled of bergamot and something subtly masculine. Not the usual sterile, sparse, low-lighting cast shadows. Across the massage table, where I settled beneath crisp white linens, distant thunder rumbled outside the storm, matching my restless mood when the door clicked open. I expected the usual therapist's polite greeting instead. A deep voice vibrated through the quiet lids. "Get those knots out." No introduction. Needed his presence filled the space before I even saw him. The faint cedar sent the confident footsteps. The way the air seemed to shift. His first touch shocked me. Not the tentative probing of most miser, but 2 warm palms pressing firmly into my shoulders, like he already knew every ache. No oil, yet just his bare hands, mapping my tension with startling intimacy. Jesus! I breathed as his thumbs found a vicious knot near my scapula. "Been a while since your last massage." His chuckle rumbled against my back as hepid oil heated to perfect body temperature. The first slow stroke down, my spine made my toes curl. This wasn't therapy. This was a conversation, and touch each movement, asking and answering questions my body hadn't even formed. When his fingers grazed the sensitive hollow, where neck meets shoulder, my breath hitched audibly. His hands paused. Too much the question hung between us, loaded with possibilities. In the charged silence, I realized 2 things. Simultaneously, every nerve ending was awake, and I desperately didn't want him to stop. His hands worked magic, each stroke, unraveling tensions I'd carried for months. Warm oil slicked his palms as they glided down my back, leaving trails of heat that lingered. I caught myself holding my breath whenever his fingers neared my waist, releasing only in slow sighs. When they retreated, he read my body like a map, thumbs finding every hidden knot, when one particularly stubborn spot made me gasp. His touch gentled feather-like circles that somehow reached deeper than any firm pressure. The towel had slipped lower, exposing the dip of my back. His fingertips brushed there, accidental, yet deliberate, sending electricity through. My outside rain pattered against the windows, in rhythm with his movements. The dim lighting made everything feel surreal. When his hands returned to my shoulders, they lingered, thumbs tracing slow circles at my neck. My skin prickled with awareness beneath his touch. This had become something beyond therapy, a silent exchange of want disguised as professional care. The air between us grew charged, yet neither of us acknowledged it. My pulse quickened as his hands moved lower, again more deliberately this time. Every nerve ending awakened, craving more of this dangerous dance. The most terrifying part, I didn't want it to end. His hands paused at the edge of the towel, fingers tracing idle patterns just above the fabric's border. My breath caught as they dipped. Lower, not enough to cross, but enough to make my skin prickle with anticipation. The air between us grew thick, charged with something unspoken. When his palm finally slid beneath the terry cloth, it wasn't sudden, it was a slow, deliberate exploration, giving me every chance to object I didn't. The warmth of his touch spread through me as his fingers kneaded the curve of my hip, each movement more intimate than the last. The boundaries blurred with every passing second. What began as therapeutic pressure transformed into something else entirely. His thumbs circling the dimples of my lower back, his breath warm against my shoulder. As he leaned closer, the towel slipped further, revealing more than either of us had intended. Outside, the storm reached its crescendo, rain hammering against the windows. In time, with my quickening pulse, his touch grew bolder venturing where no Moor's hand had gone, before yet still maintaining plausible deniability when his fingers brushed the sensitive skin just above my thigh. A quiet gasp escaped me. He paused. Then waiting the silence stretched between us, heavy with possibility. My fingers clutched at the sheets, torn between pulling away and arching into his touch in that suspended moment. We both knew this was no longer about relaxation. The line had been crossed, and neither of us wanted to go back. The moment stretched between us, thick with unspoken understanding. His hands hovered, giving me one last chance to retreat. Instead, I arched, my back slightly a silent answer. His touch returned bolder. Now strong fingers traced the contours of my body with newfound purpose, no longer pretending this was just therapy. The remaining towel slipped away, unnoticed as his palms mapped my bare skin, leaving trails of fire in their wake. Every nerve ending came alive, hyper-aware of each deliberate stroke. When high slips brushed the sensitive spot between my shoulder blades, electricity shot down my spine. I turned. Instinctively our eyes meeting, for the first time since this, began his gaze, burned with the same hunger, coursing through my veins. The storm outside mirrored our escalating passion thunder, rumbling as his mouth found mine rain, pelting the windows. As my fingers tangled in his hair, what started as tentative exploration quickly became something primal. Desperate the massage, table creaked beneath us, then crisp sheets, now hopelessly tangled. Time lost meaning, there was only sensation. The scrape of his stubble along my collarbone, the heat of his body pressing against mine, the delicious friction as we moved. Together every touch, every gasp, every heartbeat brought us closer to the inevitable. When the climax came, it wasn't sudden, but a slow rolling wave that built until it crashed over us both. This world narrowed to this single perfect moment of surrender. Two strangers no longer bound together in the quiet aftermath. The quiet after the storm settled around us like a second skin. His breath warmed my shoulder as we lay tangled in the disarrayed sheets, both avoiding the inevitable moment when reality would return. The scent of bergamot and sex hung heavy in the air, marking what had transpired between therapist and client. I traced idle patterns across his chest, feeling the steady thrum of his heartbeat slowing beneath my fingertips. His arm tightened around me briefly, a silent acknowledgement that this had meant something, even if we'd never speak of it again. Outside, the rain softened to a gentle patter, the world continuing as if nothing extraordinary had occurred within these four walls. When he finally moved, it was with reluctant care. The loss of his body heat left me suddenly aware of the room's chill. We dressed insolent, stealing glances that held entire conversations. Neither of us dared voice. His fingers brushed mine as he handed me my discarded sweater, the simple contact sending a final spark through my still sensitive nerves. At the door, he paused, not with empty promises or awkward explanations, but with a look that acknowledged the unspoken truth. We'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. I offered a small smile, my fingers lingering on the doorknob, a heartbeat too long before stepping out into the freshly washed world. The bell above the spa entrance jingled behind me, marking both an ending and a beginning. My skin still hummed with the memory of his touch.